Hello everyone and welcome to Warhammer Online, Return of Reckoning, the private server. Today I would like to talk to you about builds, how you go on about making a build, the theory behind it, and how you're going to craft it. So first we need to look at some basics. So if you press P to open your character sheet, this is where you can see all the items that exist on your character, both gear, weapons, pocket items, trophies, and jewelry, of course. Those items you can easily right click and remove them, right click and put them back on, any of them in any order. But we'll get onto the gear part a little bit later. Now, let's start with statistics. So you can see here we have a bunch of different statistics, so we'll go through them one by one. So strength increases melee damage and reduces your opponent's chance to block or parry your attack. So this is the main statistics for any melee damage dealer: Marauder, Chopper, Slayer, White Lion, and so on and so forth. So the higher this is, the more damage you will do, and the less are the chances for your enemy to block it. The ballistic skill is the statistic that ranged use, such as the engineer, the shadow warrior when he's ranged, the squig herder, so on and so forth. Here applies exactly the same as in strength, increases range damage or reduces your opponent's chance to block or evade. Evade also is dodge, so you can either see it sometimes on tooltips as evade or dodge is the same thing. Intelligence is the statistics that the spellcasters need, such as Bright Wizard, Sorcerers, Magus, Archmage, Shaman. The higher it is, the more damage you do with your magical spells, and also reduce the chance for your enemy to block or disrupt attacks. Toughness is a defensive statistic. You will notice that it says reduces damage dealt to you by opponent. It's a very generic sentence. Reduces damage dealt to you by opponents, because toughness reduces all incoming damage, whether that is physical damage or spell damage. At this point, we need to mention that armor, which comes from your gear, reduces incoming damage only from physical damage. So if a spellcaster is shooting you with a spell, let's say Firebomb or Fireball or any of those little nasty things, having a high armor does nothing for you. But toughness will reduce the incoming damage. So it is a very important statistic for tanks mainly. Also, there's a cap to it that's 75%. The maximum you will ever be able to reduce incoming damage will be 75%, never 100, for obvious reasons. Then we have weapon skill. Weapon skill is one of those statistics that increases your chance to parry and penetrate your opponent's armor. Most classes will use this for the armor penetration rather than the parry, as it is fairly expensive. You need a lot of points to get a decent percentage of parry up, but every little helps. Then we have initiative, which is a skill for multiple things. Statistics, which when you increase that one, your chances to evade attacks increases. You can also detect stealth enemies such as witch hunters and witch elves, and also lowers your chance to be critically hit. This is the main reason why most people increase initiative, to reduce the chance to receive a critical hit. As you can see on this tooltip, my chance is 0. I would like to point out that it can go below 0 and it's only applicable on PvP. I could have minus 5%. I could have minus 10% if I wanted to. The critical chance is additive. So I have 0 and my enemy has 20% chance to make a critical hit on me. My opponent right now has 20% chance to do a critical on me. If I take this to minus 5, my opponent has a chance of 15%. If I take it down to minus 10, and he originally had 20, now he has 10%. So the more on the negative I go, the more I reduce the chance of my opponent to do a critical on me. It is a very, very important statistic. However, this, as you can see, is fairly low on me. It's 285. Most people will have this around 350 plus, but I am on 0 chance because I use some of my renown points, which we will see later. But since we're on the topic, let me just say that renown, anything you put with your renown, it cannot be debuffed, which means that if a class comes attacking me and they remove, let's say, 20, 30, 40 points of initiative, I will instantly start having chances to receive critical, and I will be adding on that 20% on that example, 21, 22, 23, depends how much I am debuffed. But my points on renown cannot be touched, so my chance to receive a critical pretty much stays always at 0 regardless of debuffing initiative. Willpower is the statistics that healers use in order to increase their healing, and also as a defensive is used to increase disrupt. Disrupt means somebody does a spell on you and you disrupt it, you take 0 damage. Basically, it fails as a spell on you. And wounds is the typical and classical one. We all know it increases your HP, therefore your survivability. I would like to point out here that wounds, although the higher the better, it's not a defensive statistics. I wouldn't consider it a defensive statistic. A defensive statistic would be parry, disrupt, block, things like that. Wounds, in this game, it really works as a buffer. What it does, it allows you to receive more hits. So let's say if I had 5,000 HP, I would die in 5 hits. Now that I have 10,000, I will die in 10 hits. That buys you time. That buys time for your healer to pick you up, for your tank to get close and guard you, and so on and so forth. It's more of a buffer. I wouldn't call it defensive. If you click here where it says stats, you will see we have more tabs to go through. So let's have a little look on defenses since we're talking about wounds. Armor reduces physical damage dealt to you by enemies. So the higher, the better against melee or range that do physical damage, such as the Sniper Engie, the Shadow Warrior, the Squig Herder, or any other melee, Marauders, Choppers, Slayers, depending on which side you play. Then we have 3 different types of resistances, which are corresponding to the 3 types of damage for the spellcasting classes in the game. Spirit damage, corporeal damage, and elemental, respectively. Spiritual resist, corporeal resist, and elemental resist. Here you will see that they are green, and this one is deep orange. This means that on elemental resist, I am above the soft cap. This color will appear on all your stats once you reach the soft cap. That applies here as well. For example, if my ballistic was 1050, it would go orange. Definitely not recommended putting any more points on the main stats above orange, 1050, because after 1050, diminishing return starts, which means that for you don't get an increase point per point. So right now, if I added 1 ballistic, I would get to 856. It would add 1 more. But above 1050, you need 2 points to get 1. And if you go higher, you need 3 points to get 1. So it's not worth spending 3 points to gain 1 statistic value. So back on defenses, we also have block. If you're a tank, of course, you defend against all attacks. Please note, block only works if you are facing your enemy, someone attacking you from the sides or the back. It will not block anything. Parry, chance to defend against melee attacks, also the same as block. You have to be facing your enemy, sides and from behind. You cannot parry. Dodge, it's for ranged attacks, for example, arrows, grenades, which you can dodge from all directions, whether you are looking your enemy or not. And disrupt, you defend against magic attacks, which also applies from a 360 around you. It doesn't matter if you're looking at them or not. Disrupt works from all sides. Now, if you're a melee class, you can check here your damage bonus, your weapon DPS, armor penetration. It's your statistics here. If you're ranged, such as the engineer, damage bonus, speed attacks, just the basic stuff. Also your critical chances. And for the magic applies the same. Here on the magic is also the healing one. So don't look for a specific tab. It is along with the magic. It's you healing through magic. And these are the statistics you really need to pay attention to depending on your class. So to give you 1 or 2 examples, as an engineer, you would want to have high ballistic for damage, wounds to survive, and as ranged, you want range critical if you're playing the grenadier. If you are playing let's say a chopper or a slayer, you want strength for damage, you want weapon skill for armor penetration, as much wounds as you can, a little bit of critical. So depending on your class, you might find yourself that you need to boost 3 statistics or 4 statistics. And because on the builds you have 3 different paths, and you can pick one of them, or as you can see here, I'm playing two in any amount and make your build. The variation is quite big. On the gear front, as you can see on mine, I am wearing the Oppressor set here, but I'm also wearing the Sovereign set. So my build at the moment is consisting of two different sets. A casual player could easily acquire one set, let's say a full Oppressor, a full Vanquisher, a full Conqueror. There's a lot of gear which you can get from PvP, PvE, like dungeons, public quests. You can get them from scenarios. You can buy some from vendors if you want to. The best ones usually are from PvP or scenarios, and then the rest come along. As a casual player, you could easily get one full set and then go out there and have some fun without caring too much. But if you want to be a competitive player, you want to be a little bit better than casual, you play more, you want to invest some time into the game, then you're going to have to start dealing with combinations. So I will tell you quickly the combination of gear here, which I have, and then we'll move on and see how we make a build, how we use our renown points further down. So for this build, I have the Oppressor set. I have 3 pieces at the moment, which this is a scenario set. And as you can see here, I get for the 3 pieces, I get 2 bonuses, 62 ballistic skill and plus 68 wounds. So I get a bit of damage and more wounds. Then I'm using the Sovereign set, which is a PvP set from the City Sieges at the moment. And at the moment, this build has 4 pieces. So it's a combination of 2 different gear, which also gives me ballistic for damage, wounds for survival, and armor for defenses. Now, this is the clothes, if you like, that I'm wearing. But my jewelry, this 3-piece set, is from PvE. It is a set called the Wings of Impervious, and it gives you initiative armor as a bonus, and it has very high resistances. I use this against casters. And I have a 4th set, if you like, which is the Invader Jewel, which comes from forts. It's one step below the City Sieges. It's a different map that you can acquire this specific item. So in effect, this is 4 sets. We have a scenario set, we have an open PvP set, we have a jewelry set from PvE and PvP as well in a different area. And my weapons are from scenarios as well. And I have a pocket item, which is from PvE as well. So you can see the mixture of different gears going on. So if you're ever going to make a build, I would definitely recommend that you start with one basic thing. What do I want this build to do? You know, and then you're going to have to do some compromises. There is no way you're going to make a build to kill anyone. There will always be an arch enemy, a nemesis, a counter class, call it whatever you like. You cannot kill everything. So for example, my build, I am very good against melee at the front lines because of my wounds, my armor, my defenses. I don't do so well against healers. I don't have enough ballistic to kill them fast, and they can always heal themselves. So I have sacrificed the ability to kill healers, which are 4 on the enemy faction, but I can kill the other 8 classes, whether they are ranged or not. So that's my weak spot, if you like. You have to make those compromises and choices. So once you know what you want to do, how you want to play, I want this build, for example, I want to play in the front lines, I want to survive long, I want to annoy the enemy, I don't care about big numbers, and that's the thing. This build is designed to hold flags and scenarios as long as possible, to penetrate enemy groups, go to the back lines, stagger, pull, hunt, interrupt spells, and basically be annoying and a lot of crowd control. It's not designed to kill. That's why it has 10,000 HP to last at the backlines. It has high armor and very medium to low ballistics, just to, I can hit something. So you have to focus to what you want to do. Once you know what you want to do, then you need to move to the planning stage, where you should go to the vendors in the major cities, in the capitals, and see all the gear available to you. See what they give you, the bonuses, how many talisman slots you can get. If you don't know what talismans are, they're little gems which you can add to your gear. For example, this one, it gives me 164 armor, And my back also takes a jewel. So that's an extra one. Not all backs take. So you need to find the right gear there. So check the vendors, see all the bonuses, all the statistics, and decide what mixture will be best for you to fit your gameplay. So let's go and see how I made this build. And see how that's gonna work out. So my favorite style on the engineer, and so far I'm the only one in the server because that build doesn't really kill a lot, is the defensive engineer. So most of my things will be based on keeping me alive to do my job. And what is my job? And this is the mentality of this build. And this is the compromises that I've made. The idea of this build is to last as long as possible, to defend the flag so the enemy cannot grab it, to delay the enemy until reinforcements arrive, and to try and give them as much hell as possible before my reinforcements arrive. And if I can outlast them, I will eventually possibly kill them. So I have the main idea of what I want the build to do, and that's what you should do on yours. I want to kill fast one target, and I don't care if I die. I want to be able to kite people around and have fun. I want to last long. I want to be bursty. I want to be top on the scoreboard. Every build and every class, just choose what you want to do and then see what the compromise is. What is the compromise of my build? I can kill healers. I can fight very well against ranged because I don't have the damage to burn them before they burn me. And I can, well, don't really need a party, but I am a lot better. My survivability in a party increases by 200%. So, you know, I'm not very mobile with this build as I should be. So, let's see how we're going to go about it. So, we need to last long, and we need to be very annoying to the enemy. So, if you're going to hold the spot somewhere, most likely you're not going to be attacked by one person. So the first thing you want to do is get some of those nice AoE skills. And the path on the engineer, for example, is the grenadier. So I'm going to put all my points up. I'm going to get a napalm. I will show you what the skills do. We're going to get phosphor shells and sticky bomb. All three are AoE spells. And then that is for me to apply pressure and basically fill the ground with damage so people don't want to come close to the flag. Or if they're going to come close, they're going to have some consequences, so they're going to think twice. Then I'm going to go to my support tree. The engineer does have a support tree. I'm going a little bit higher up. I'm going to get something that can keep me alive, and that is the Bagman's Best. This is a healing spell for me. And then I want more damage on the floor. I'm going to get a lightning rod that does AoE damage as well. And then I'm going to fill the rest of the tree up for extra damage on the middle. And that's how I've made my build. I want to hold the position. That's the main idea. So, before we move on, I'll just show you some of these spells. This is Napalm. You can drop it on top of you, it doesn't burn you, but it will burn anybody who's going to come near you. The Lightning Rod goes in the middle, it still does damage on the same spot. And then Phosphor Shells, you can still drop more damage by bombarding the location. And you have a nice little death jump. So, that's how I'm going to deal my damage and make you think twice about coming in. Now, the next thing we need to do is get to the Renowned Trainer and start building our statistics up. This is the default menu. Sometimes you'll see other people using other interfaces. A lot of add-ons for this game. So, we are meant to be defensive. We need to last as long as possible. So the first thing we need is to start building up on... Okay, the trainer bugged out a little bit, but it does happen. Here we go again. So HP to make it survive longer. So I'm going to grab... So far I took 2 points of that. As you can see on the tooltip, increases once by 22. If I take number 3, that will be a total of 38. That's 310 points. But I need 6 renown points to get that one. And the next one needs 10 renown points, give him another 34, and we're going to take the full of it, and that's it. As you can see, my HP just went from 8,000 that they were, all the way up to 9,980. That is for above even some tanks at the moment. But don't forget, we do not have the mitigation that the tanks have. We have no block, we have no parry, so HP is the only buffer we really have there. to help us out. Then the next thing we want, and it's a very important, and please note this, as you can see, my chance to receive a critical is 4.5%. We need this to be 0 or below 0. On PvP, you can go below 0. It is important because every point that you go negative, you remove critical chance from your enemy. So we're gonna grab at this case because the sets I'm wearing at the moment, they're not giving me the reduction I want. I need more parts to replace the Oppressor with Sovereign. So we're gonna take 2 pieces of Futile Strikes, and once we do twice, as you can see, my chance to receive critical just went to 0. Now, Futile Strikes, which reduces the chance to receive a critical, is extremely useful because initiative may reduce chance to receive critical, but somebody can debuff you and reduce your initiative, therefore increasing the chances to receive a critical. But renowned skills such as Futile Strike cannot be debuffed, so no matter what they do, I will always keep my 7%. They cannot remove that. So that really helps a lot. The next thing we want is to grab some skill called Death Defender. That's going to increase our dodge and disrupt. That will help us possibly survive a little bit better against range. I'm not taking the full one because I know how many points I have at the moment. I just need that one. And then the other one I want because if you're going to be holding a flag, you're going to have a lot of tanks coming at you. You're going to have a lot of melee classes coming at you. So you definitely need to get as much parry as possible in order to try and mitigate and negate as much damage as you can. And that will leave us with 1 point. Out of habit, I'm going to put this one just to increase initiative a little bit more. 4 points doesn't do much, but there's no need to leave any points unused. So we have a lot of HP. Our ballistic is low. It's not our job to kill. Our job is to do something else. That's the build behind it. And you will see that in most of my gear I've added armor because as a front line you will have to deal with a lot of range. With a lot of melee and tank. So more armor, you last longer. More HP, you last longer. And that's behind the whole thing. Now we need to deal with, now we've done this, we need to move on to the next part of the build, which is tactics. Pressing V will open up the usual panel that you can see your skills, you got your morale, you got your tactics. We'll start with the tactics first. Tactics are placed in your tactics slot. You have 4 at maximum level. So still going defensive. So armor, if I'm going to choose armor, but 660, you're going to put it up first. Next thing we want will be this skill for this specific build because this will increase our ballistic, so it will help us do a little bit more damage. It will increase our weapon skill. We can penetrate a little bit more armor, but because it's 120, it's going to give us that extra little something on the parry. Because remember, weapon skill may increase armor penetration when you're attacking, but also increases your parry. It's a little bit, but I like it. So I'm going to take that one. Then we're going to be at the front line. We play a casting class, which means we have a lot of casting time. 2 seconds, 1 second, 3 seconds. So I'm going to take Expert Skirmisher, which reduces my casting time by 50% when people are near me. That will allow me to, for example, deploy my healing keg, which is 2 seconds at 1 second. That also will reduce pushback, so I'm a little bit faster on the movements there, trying to keep myself alive while I'm defending my spots. And the last one I'm going to get for this build is Masterful Aim, just to increase my damage a little bit more. So with my skills from 500, I've made it all the way to 823. So that's decent. It's not great as a DPS, but I am not a DPS at this point. I am playing crowd control build. You have to keep in focus always what is the purpose of your build and what you want to do. My job is not to kill, is to defend, is to last long. So we've done the tactics, we've done the gear, we've done the talismans, usually all of them is armor in my case. We've checked our statistics. Now we move on to the next one, which is morale. Morales is a mechanism that is used a lot in this game. You have 4 morales, rank 1, rank 2, rank 3, and rank 4. The more you stay in combat, the more this bar builds up, and you eventually get number 1, number 2, 3, and 4. Now, when you use any of them, your points in the morale will reset to 0. So it's not like you have, let's say, morale 3 available, and you can do 1, 2, and 3. You get to pick which one to use. There are defensive morales, and there are offensive morales. In this case, I'm personally using 2 defensive, which is the first ones. If I get overwhelmed, one of them gives me 100% dodge and disrupt against ranged. The other one removes all snares and disabling effects, so I can move if I'm rooted, if I need to get out of something. Third one is a very hard-hitting single target spell, and the fourth one is a very hard-hitting AoE spell. So if I'm in the SIDS, I use number 4. If I need to kill someone towards the end and just really like nuke him and down, burst him, use number 3, and the rest is utility for myself. And survival. You will find a long list of morale. You get some from the game by default, and if you see on the trainer here, you can also pick some specific ones from the top of the tree. Every tree at the top, the last spell is a morale rank 4, and you can change if you feel they're better than the ones you get originally. And the last component from any build when you're making a theory of, you know, I want to do this, I want to work, is, in my opinion, potion. As you can see, I'm fully ranged potions. I got a healing potion here, I have another healing potion there, and I have an overtime healing potion here. I can use the 2 green ones, or 1 green and 1 purple. It depends on the situation, if I need an overtime or instant damage heal, depending how it's happening. An action point potion if I run out while I'm doing, because the engineer will show you, if you watch the yellow bar up there, if I go and drop my tree, that gives me my buff. I drop some AoE on the floor here, some more AoE, and a keg. As you can see, my AP going down fast. But I'm in non-combat, so it's generating faster. In combat, I would be out of AP right now. So that helps keep me going for longer periods without having to stop casting spells. This is a damaging AoE portion. It helps a little bit because I'm lacking damage. I have to add some from the potion. In my opinion, everything that the game gives you, you should use it to its full extent if you want to be competitive. So just to cap things up a little bit about builds and theory crafting, number 1, what you need to do is figure out what you need to do with your character. Number 2, figure out which gear set or sets or combination of sets is going to get you where you want to go. Number 3, grind and farm them, of course. Number 4, look at your statistics and see which ones you need to buff more through gear, through renown, or talismans on your gear. You might want to put more ballistics for damage, you might want to put wounds for more HP. It's your choice depending which direction you want to go. Number 4, pick the right skills from your trainer, from this tree here, whichever it is for your class. Then round it up nicely with renown, whichever you feel you need. A little bit of defense, a little bit of offense. You want to be full defensive, full offensive, somewhere in the middle. Round it up and tie it up nicely with the renown points as you level up. Then once you do that, fix your tactics so they go along with your build, what you want to do. The tactics are quite a few, actually 3 pages of tactics, 2.5. So it's for every situation. You will never prepare your character for all situations, but for most, you can do that for most. And then finally, pick the right morals to help you. And also, final note, when you've done all that and you have your build, then there's one more thing you need to consider. Is this build what I love playing? Is this build the one that I can play in all situations? If not, you might need to consider having 2 builds or 3 builds on your character with different gear. Some classes can have, like the engineer, is single target damage, which is very useful for soloing and maybe small parties. So different gear, different renown, different tactics. And then they can have a warband for bigger scale combat, like the engineer, for example, where in that case we go as the grenadier, different gear, different spell set, different tactics, different morale. So check it out. I think with this little tutorial I have managed to cover, in my opinion, how you go about making a build. You need to put in your mind what you want to do, which direction to go, which gear you need, which tactic, which morals. Put them down, see if they work well together. And above all, guys, once you get to the point that you got what you need, test, test, and test. Go out there, have some fights, die, check your combat log, see how much damage you're getting, see how much damage you're doing. Try to do that against a lot of different classes from your enemy faction, and then get a feel of, you know what, I'm not doing enough damage. Let's add some. Well, I'm taking too much. Let's put one different talisman. Let's change one tactic and try and fine-tune your gear, your talismans, your statistics, and your gameplay as best as you can. And also keep in mind that at the beginning, you're going to have to give time to a build that you're trying. Whether you copied it from the forums, somebody told you, you made it yourself, you have to give it enough time, because it will need adjustments, and above all, you will need to learn how to play it. And I have a little bit of experience on that. A lot of people try to play the build I'm playing, the defensive build, and they have failed. It's one thing to have a build, and it's a different thing knowing how to play it. Some other people try this build, and they are wonderful. They're great. They're even better than I am. So it takes a lot of practice, it takes a lot of time in the game to spend to get the experience, get the muscle memory going. You need to give it time. And final pointer before I close this, try and find a class and a build and a game style you enjoy playing every day. It's a game. Have fun, guys. Have fun. It's all about having fun. It's a game. Never forget that, and never get upset about it. So I hope this tutorial or tutorials, you see how many pieces they're going to be, they're going to help you get an idea how to go along about your builds. And I'll see you on the next one.